This will be a response video to Anita Sarkeesian's most recent laughable video called Strategic Butt Covering. So I'm going to just go straight down the list of the video games that she mentioned, and I'm going to refute her claims. Now, the first video game that she mentioned was an old Tomb Raider game where Anita Sarkeesian was upset that the character, Lara Croft, was wearing clothing that was too revealing, and that because she is a woman who is physically fit, because she has to do acrobatic, physically intensive activities to complete her missions, she is going to be fit. And then also to do those tasks, she has to wear clothing that, you know, is suited for that task. So she has to wear clothing that is not restrictive, so when she jumps from one ledge to another, she is able to do that without her clothes or the things that she is wearing getting in the way, so they have to be tight. You know, it seems as if Anita Sarkeesian wants Lara Croft to be in some sort of elaborate, you know, puritanical dress or something like that. And then the next game that she mentioned, which was Watch Dogs, which is based in the city of Chicago, and the protagonist, he wears a trench coat or, you know, a long jacket where his butt is not showing. And I think she is somewhat upset about that, because she says, why does this character wear a trench coat and then Lara Croft is wearing clothes that are non-restrictive? And my response to that criticism is, one character lives in Chicago where, you know, I'm from Akron, Ohio. It's very freaking cold. It's snowing outside. If I look at my phone, it's about 12 or 13 degrees outside. So wearing something that, you know, Lara Croft would wear, it's just silly. Whereas, you know, Lara Croft, she's, you know, most of her games take place in jungles or places where it's very tropical, and she doesn't have to wear, you know, clothing to keep warm. She has to wear clothing that is non-restrictive, and, you know, she doesn't sweat to death in. I mean, this is some very basic climate science. Oh, when it's cold outside, you put on layers to stay warm, or when it's hot outside, you wear less clothing so you don't, you know, overheat and passed out from heat exhaustion or whatever. And then the next game that she went on to mention was Batman Arkham Asylum, where the character is playing, or she's playing, Catwoman. And let's just make this clear: every character within these comic books and comic book video games and movies, whatever, they all wear spandex for some reason. And a lot of times the men wear capes and the women wear, you know, they don't wear capes. They just wear, you know, whatever. But for the most part, they all wear spandex. And spandex will show a person's figure more than wearing loose, baggy clothing. But she was also upset on how Catwoman was walking. Now, obviously, for the most part, women have a feminine walk or stroll to their, you know, to their walk or whatever, and men don't. Men have more or less masculine, you know, strolls when it comes to walking, and this is due to women, biologically speaking, tend to have larger hips, and their center of mass is more towards the like in their hips or whatever, because it's, you know, for childbearing, stuff like that. That is why women tend to have, you know, larger asses and you know, like larger thighs, and men tend to have, you know, larger chest and more muscles, etc. That's just how biology works, you know. And she wants to have it where it's like everyone is just a default, no, you know, no ass, no titties, no nothing. There's no definition, you know. Everyone's fat and chubby, because it's obviously she doesn't like people being physically fit and healthy. And it's just, it really shocks me how someone can nitpick a video game like that. And then the next video game that she mentioned is called Golden Axe Beast Rider, which I've never heard of, but it looks like a Conan the Barbarian kind of deal, where, you know, everyone's in this you know, prehistoric, you know, outfits where everyone looks like a caveman and or whatever. And she was mad that one of the female characters, you know, she's wearing what looks like to be some animal that they skinned and she made clothing out of it, and she's upset that she's physically fit and her ass is showing. I mean, this is crazy, man. And the next video game that she mentioned was a more recent version of Tomb Raider, where Lara Croft was wearing a one-piece swimming suit or whatever, and she was upset that Lara Croft's butt was, you know, visible for people to see. It's not even like, oh, she's not wearing, you know, nothing. I mean, it's like a onesie where you can see a woman's cheeks partially, and she's upset about that. You know what I mean? I really think that people like Anita Sarkeesian want everyone to be overweight and, you know, or just be or have no asses whatsoever, because I don't get where the argument is here, you know, and it's like she's making herself look like an idiot, and I mean, this is something that she does quite often. And then she went on to mention a whole bunch of other video games where the males in the video games, they tend to wear looser clothing. Well, in real life, men tend to choose to wear clothing that isn't as tight because, hey, guess what? We have balls and women don't. So to wear something that is very, you know, constrictive on a man's, you know, nuts or whatever, it's just uncomfortable. And in video games, I mean, people, it's just like, these are nonsensical issues. And my last point that I'm going to make is that even though she has a right to make these statements, you know, no matter how wrong they are, just remember that you live in a country where you have the freedom to decide whether or not you want to view stuff like this. No one's putting a gun to anyone's head and telling them that they have to play these video games. If you don't want to play these video games, then don't play them. Make your own video games. Instead of getting, you know, a major in 5th century Renaissance English or something like that, you know, major in programming, where you can make your own video games that you find appealing to you or maybe your audience. Because in a lot of countries throughout the world, women do not have a choice to dress how they want to dress. They do not have a choice to be who they want to be. They don't have a choice to watch what they want to watch or whatever video games they want to play. They're forced to live a life that usually is mandated by some male, you know, authoritarian regime or government, and they're forced to live their life the way that that entity wants them to live. And all I want to say is choice is better than no choice. And for people like Anita Sarkeesian, it's like they want to live in a world where it's just complete disregard for the human the human experience. Like, yes, you know, a lot of these games do advertise to try to appeal to a human being's sexuality, but there are a lot of, you know, video games and movies or whatever that try to appeal to a woman's sexuality, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, Anita Sarkeesian is just like those extreme religious zealots who want to have women wearing, you know, slits, or I mean, all they can see are, like, you know, little slits or whatever, completely covered up. You know, they're not allowed to leave the house. You know, she shares so many of the same quantities or qualities with these people that, you know, that she would say that she's completely against or whatever. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Obviously, unlike Anita Sarkeesian, I don't turn off my comments because I get criticism. I leave them on. Unless you know, say something racist to me, you know, say whatever, you know, put forth an argument. And if I, you know, don't agree with you, then hey, I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to delete your comments. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. Have a nice day.